Hello everyone, Kiyan here, and welcome to Yuki funny math lesson of Heaven Boneware damage calculation. In this video, I will go over the funny math for skill damage potential. On top of that, I will also give you tips on how to get that big funny damage that you see from other players. If you want more video guide like this, then consider subscribing. It's free and you get an extra increased chance of gacha luck. With that being said, let's get started. Before we can get into the meat and sausage of the video, I have to talk briefly about base damage potency. This number is needed in order to do any math since it is a turn-based game. The damage is calculated based on how much SP an attack is needed. I will go over this briefly because this number can be found in hbr.crest. You can just yoink it off there for the next session of the video. The number is split into two different categories, single target and AoE. Single target math for minimum potency is this, and the maximum potency is this. For AoE, the minimum potency is this, and the maximum is this. Since I want to keep this simpler, I won't go into the adjustment to base damage based on condition. You can always check in Tojo file since it's a long ass table. Link will be in the description. Now that we got the base skill damage potency out of the way, time to talk about how all of the numbers add up. Damage is split into 12 sections that multiply with each other. Because I know math can be complicated, everything will be on screen so you don't have to stroke out in the middle of watching. Skill damage potency is something we already talked about. The value can be found in the database, just look it up there. Sum of skill enhance is based on any enhancement the character have, which can come from skill, accessory, overdrive, and passive. Sum of defense down are the number that affect the enemy defense added together, ranging from regular defense down to elemental defense down and passive. Sum of field or elemental zone. Some support can create an elemental zone, which can be seen if you look closely for an effect during a fight. This value doesn't account for any passive, just the zone itself. Skill DP or HP modification is based on attacker or breaker skill. If the enemy still have the DP, then DP modified number are used instead and vice versa. Sum of token is dependent on which character you're using. Not all characters utilize token. Each stack contributes 16%, so the max is 160% because of 10 stack total. Sum of multi-hit, which is above or a passive that increase the hit count of a skill or auto attack. This is actually goated, which I'll talk more about later. Sum of crit damage if crit is quite self-explanatory. I don't think I need to say it about it anymore. Whenever you crit, you also ignore 50% border during calculation. However, this does not stack with enfeeble. Sum of damage weakness or attribute weakness or resistance. Resistance is also added onto this to reduce the damage output. Sum of elemental weakness, which is quite similar to attribute weakness, with the exception of including elemental resist down. For clarity, elemental resist down and elemental defense down are two different things. Defense down is just a number while resist down a multiplier. Resist and weakness are based on effectiveness, which I will mention more later. Sum of Tactician vision or mind eyes. For those that doesn't know what they are, it is a buff where you do more damage if the attack matches the weakness of the enemy. Sum of expose/vulnerability, which can only be applied for weaknesses, even if the debuff icon exists. Sum of devastation rate, which can be applied to HP only. That value are between 100 to 999, depending on the enemy max value. And finally, 0.9 to 1.1 random because why not? Multi-hit or funnel is one of the strongest offensive buff. This buff gives an extra hit count, which may increase in damage, overdrive gain, and devastation rate. The extra hit will trigger right after any attack, which also include auto attack. Because of this, make sure that you only use multi-hit buff on a character that will be using the skill, or even better, the EXs. When it comes to damage, we also need to consider the enemy weakness and resistance. Everyone get a base effectiveness of 100%. If the effectiveness is under 100%, then the enemy is resistant to it, and if the effectiveness is above 100, then it's a weakness. One thing as I mentioned is that damage type and element type are two separate things. So, if you manage to have a character that does both weakness, then your damage output, even auto attack, will do much higher damage than anything else. Another debuff that you should know is Expose or Invulnerable. Expose only apply when the cancer is weak to your attack, may that be either damage type or elemental type. You can still apply Expose to the enemy, but if you don't have any attack that the enemy is weak to, then it won't be applied. The buff version of that is Tactician Vision or Mind Eye. They are similar to Expose, where the enemy weakness is also in play. However, the difference is that Expose is applied to enemy while Tactician Vision is applied to your characters. So, in the battlefield, if you have both, then your damage will greatly increase. As for skill enhance, you can have both regular and elemental skill enhance in the same character and it will be additive. Accessory passive will also be included here. For example, attacking earring have a passive where it increases HP damaging skill, which can be added here. Now, some of you may think, oh, it's a HP/DP skill buff, how come it's here and it's not a modifier? Good question, it's because this is a generalized buff, not a modifier. Modifier are built within the skill itself, anything that say plus 50% to HP and such. Charge is also considered a skill enhance. However, in some cases, it is better to have charge over regular skill enhance, since some Memoria, such as Inori SS1, who are having charge buff let her ult do an increased percentage damage to HP. This lets you increase both categories with just one buff. Now that you understand how all the numbers are calculated, it's time for me to give you a tip on how to do big funny damage. As you can see, there are drop section. Anything that's inside a section will be additive, and anything outside of a section will be multiplication. In order to do a lot of damage, you will need to cover pretty much a lot of those categories, preferably all of them. With that being said, you won't necessarily hit all of the damage section, but as long as you cover more than half of that list, your damage will be thick. However, this is purely based on your team building skill and what character you may have. Down the line, once you have more character, it will be much simpler to cover most of the category as long as you know what each character does. Hopefully you now understand the complication of damage value and calculation. This topic is quite dang, but as long as you understand the different category and keep in mind what I said, then you should not have any worry moving forward when it comes to harder content. With that being said, if you have any question or concern, do write them down in the comment below. You can always join my Discord server, Yahallo, or any of the Hebban Discord server that I'm in, to have your question answered. Thank you everyone for watching. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. If you don't, you know what to do. With all that being said, I will see you later.